So we're on section 2 of chapter 2, the flow of energy in an ecosystem in Principles of Ecology. These are some ecology basics. Um, so the objectives here are to be able to describe how energy flows through an ecosystem. And number 2, explain how the stability of an ecosystem is increased by biological diversity. The more different types of animals there are, the better off an ecosystem is. The third one is to be able to describe and draw food chains, food webs, and pyramid models, and there's a calculation that goes with pyramid models that we'll talk about. So, some vocabulary items here. Autotrophs are anything that can collect energy from sunlight or inorganic substances. There's something called chemosynthesis that happens more rarely than photosynthesis, but you take chemicals from deep below the surface of the earth and use those to make carbohydrates, and that's kind of handy for some things that live near the bottom of the ocean or in really hot places. But mostly is photosynthesis here with the autotrophs. Heterotrophs are anything that consume other organisms to get their food. There are three kinds of consumers here. The herbivores, you've probably learned this in second grade or so, things that only eat plants. Omnivores, things that might eat both. All right, and then carnivores, things that only eat other consumers. So eat producers only, eat producers and consumers, eat only consumers. Um, there's also a category of organisms called detritivores, and these are things that eat fragments of dead or dying things in an ecosystem. Decomposers are a subcategory of that, like mushrooms and fungus. And they will return nutrients to the soil and air eventually, in some cases not directly, but they return the nutrients to the ecosystem where it can be reused and recycled. And that recycling is something we'll talk about next section. So models of energy flow, this is where the food chains, food webs, and food pyramids come in, are these models. Food chains and food webs model the energy flow through an ecosystem. A chain is a very simple model. This is a chain. You learn about this in third grade too. Shows that energy comes from the sun, first of all, and it goes to the producers, then to the herbivores, then to the omnivores, then to the carnivores. And so these arrows are pointing from the thing that is being eaten to the eater. And it's very important that you get those arrows right. If I make you draw or identify a food chain, that you get the arrows pointing in the direction that the energy flows in. Okay, so that's a food chain. In ecology, we talk about trophic levels. And the levels start at the producer level, and it's called level 1 here. And then the second level would be obviously level 2, the trophic level 2, and then level 3 and level 4. Now there are also words that refer to these as primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers, and you'll see those terms in one of the assignments that you'll get. But those are some vocabulary items associated with these in ecology. Now food webs are much more complex because reality is much more complex than a simple food web or food chain. So all of these interconnected food chains make up a web, and this would be a desert situation where you've got the coyote who is eating the weasel and can eat the kangaroo rat and can eat the quail and can also eat the pronghorn and the jackrabbit. And notice that all these other things are being eaten and eating other organisms as well. But this ecosystem is more stable because this coyote can eat so many different things. If there were just one item here that it could eat, then the idea of the ecosystem breaking down becomes much more of a reality, because if that one organism undergoes a devastating plague or disease or something, then boom, that coyote is out of a food source and the whole ecosystem kind of starts to break down. So stability comes with diversity, and that's an important thing to recognize. Pyramids are diagrams that can show the relative amounts of energy. You see there's three different types of pyramids that they show here: pyramids of energy, pyramids of biomass, and pyramids of just plain numbers in the population. And so you've got your plants are always on the bottom. Notice here they've got the percentage of energy that's coming in, and 90% of it gets lost as you go to the next level. And that's an important thing to notice. And then another 90% of it gets lost as you go to the next level and the next level. So only about 10% in any given ecosystem will jump from trophic level to trophic level. There's a lot of heat that comes out of these, and that is lost energy to us. It doesn't get recycled, it can't be recaptured and reused, it's just lost. This one, it refers to biomass, which is the total mass of all of the producers, then the consumers, and then the consumers and the consumers. And notice where most of the biomass on Earth is. Biomass is in the producers. And that's the way it is, partly because there's so much less energy available up here than down here. And then sheer numbers. Also, you're looking at way more plants in the world than there are things like apex predators up here on the third level consumers. So these types of pyramids are things you need to be able to recognize and understand what they mean. And there are some calculations here. And so with these calculations, you're just going to be calculating the efficiency of energy conversion. So each step in the pyramid shows a different trophic level: first level, second level, third level, fourth level, etc. From one trophic level to the next, much of the energy, sometimes as much as 90%, is lost as heat. To calculate the energy conversion efficiency, you have an equation here. Efficiency equals energy in the higher level, whichever one you're dealing with, divided by the energy in the lower level. So if you're calculating the efficiency between here and here, you would take the energy here divided by the energy here and multiply it by 100. So for example, if 7,580 energy is contained in the first trophic level of an ecosystem and 900 energy is transferred to the next level, then, and this is where you get to pause and do the calculation and try it out. So do that now, and then we'll move on. Here's the answer. 900 divided by 7,580 times 100 is 11.8%. So check your work, make sure you understand how to do that. It's not too terribly complex. So that's it in a nutshell, section 2.2. Not too tough. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.